Hey everybody, this video is a quick tutorial on how to create a Google Doc. Just want to show some of the basic functionalities of it to make sure you understand how to operate in a Google Doc environment. I go into my Google Drive, and if I want to start a paper, I click Create and then I choose Document. When I select that option, it is going to create the document in this area right here. It's not going to put it in any of my folders. So, for example, I'll create the document. I'm going to use good naming technique and change this to the attack on Pearl Harbor, because that's what we were talking about in my class. So I click OK. Now you'll notice when I close this tab and go back to my Google Drive, there it is right there. So I can either just drag and drop it into another folder, or next time I can actually go within the folder and then click Create and choose Document. Or I can go ahead and go into the document that I created, and from within here I can change where it's located. If I click this little folder up here and then select military history, it's now going to move it into that military history folder. One thing that teachers may ask you to do is they may ask you to download or submit, I should say, a PDF version of your paper or a Microsoft Word version of your paper, because they may want to annotate, meaning draw on your paper to give you feedback. So the way that you would do that, create a PDF or Word version of your document, is you click File and then you select Download As. And so what's going to happen is when I select, say, this Microsoft Word option, it's going to download a copy of the Google Doc to my computer. So for you, it would be your Downloads folder on your Chromebook, and it's going to create a Word version of that paper. And then when you go to Academy Central and you submit it, or if you're going to email it to somebody or whatever, you simply look in your Downloads folder for that document and send it on its way. Same thing with a PDF. I click File, Download As, PDF. Now it's going to create a PDF version of the document. Again, these are going to be downloaded directly locally on your Chromebook. So if your Chromebook gets tossed in a lake, then you will lose those versions of that Google Doc. But the original Google Doc is saved on your drive, so you can always quickly make another PDF version, no problem. Now conversely, I want to show you a situation which maybe you've received a Microsoft Word document and you want to edit it in Google Docs. So here's an example of a Word document right here. If I just simply click on it, it's going to show it in a viewer. So I can't really edit this thing, but I can go ahead and look and see what it says. If I click on this little Open With tab, it's just going to say Google Drive Viewer, and you're going to get the same view. In fact, if I click Open, it's going to look like this. Again, I can select text, but I can't really edit it. So you might say, well, how do I edit it? I want to be able to make changes and send it back. Well, what you do is, as we close this view, you right-click on the Word document and then select Open With Google Docs. And then it's going to convert that, or make a copy of the original, and convert it in a way that you can go ahead and edit the text. So I can go ahead and do whatever I need to do. So sometimes the format might be a little bit different, but you can now edit that document. Of course, when I go back to my drive, now you'll see two copies, the original Word document and then the version that you can edit. And then, of course, if you want to send it back to a person as a Word document, you follow the download procedure that I just showed you. Another thing you might want to tweak in terms of your settings on Google Drive is when you upload a document, having it convert automatically. If I click on this gear over on the right-hand side and I come down here to Upload Settings, I can choose Convert Uploaded Files to Google Docs Format, convert text from uploaded PDF and image files. There's also an option to confirm settings before each upload. But if you just want to do it where it automatically converts uploaded files to Google Docs format, you can go ahead and select that. When you go to upload a file, I can go ahead and select this this Word document right here. I click Open. And then you can see this Cultural History Overview doc was originally a Microsoft Word one. When I uploaded it, it converted it to a Google Doc. So that can be a handy feature as well. That way you don't necessarily have to go to the Microsoft Word document, right-click, and then open with Google Doc. It converts it right away for you. Alright, so let's get into just working within a paper. There's a couple of views here. If I click this little icon over here, it pulls the menus out, gives me a little bit more screen space. I can actually go ahead and select under the view menu full screen. Same sort of deal, just gives me a little bit more space to work. Some of you might be really into shortcuts. If I click the help menu and I click keyboard shortcuts, it shows you all the different shortcuts for a Google document, which can be obviously really handy. This is a pretty standard formatting toolbar, fonts, size, etc. You can add more fonts under the fonts drop down if you want. There are some others that you can select and add. Obviously, one of the strengths of a Google Doc is that they're really easy to share with other people. So let's say you're doing a group project. We're researching on the attack on Pearl Harbor, and we'll put all of our research in one centralized area. Then click share. And I can go ahead and simply add the WaScholar email addresses of my partners. And this is another reason why we really want you to use WaScholar, because if you are logged in as WaScholar, it's very easy to find other students' email addresses within this window here. So you can say yes, they can edit, or maybe just comment, or simply view the document, whatever you would like to do. You can change, obviously, the settings in terms of sharing. You make it public with anybody on the web, anyone with a link, etc. Typically, I leave it private, but I share it with particular people. There's also a little chat button up here as well, so that when people are kind of logged in simultaneously and working on this paper, you can go ahead and chat with them about it. So that can be a good collaborative tool. Finally, the last thing I just want to talk about, research. If I highlight the phrase Pearl Harbor here and I go to Tools, and I select Research, I get this little feature on the right hand side that allows me to go ahead and navigate around on the web doing a little bit of research. So if there is a particular source that I'm using, I can even go here and click Insert Link. It'll put it right into my paper there. If I want, I can actually click Cite. All right, and you'll notice it did a little #1 there and puts a citation at the bottom of the paper there. So I don't know if you're necessarily going to be doing footnotes, but that's another little feature of the research tool. One thing that's really nice about Google Docs is that it will save your changes as you go along. So if I write in here a day that will live in infamy, all right, now you'll notice at the top it says all changes saved in Drive. So I have had some questions about, well, what if I want to revert back to an earlier version of my document? If I click File and then click See Revision History, I will get a toolbar on the right hand side in which I can literally go to each time that this has saved. So you start with the most recent at the top, and then it goes further back in history as you go down. So if I click at the very beginning, you can see obviously this was blank, and I can kind of page through and see how I added things as we went along. So if I want to, say, restore to this older version where I only had the words Pearl Harbor, I can simply click the link that says restore this version, like so. And again, I can go back to See Revision History, all right, and you'll notice this is the restored version at the very top that I picked, but maybe I want to go back to what I had before, where I had a day that will live in infamy. I click restore this version, and there you go. So one other interesting thing is, if you'll notice that it says my name here, if I were collaborating with other people, it would also show their changes and edits in here as well. So I can actually see who exactly did what on a Google Doc, which is really nice for students, and it's also really nice for teachers, so they can kind of go in and see who exactly did what in terms of group work and that sort of thing. So that's a real quick tutorial on Google Docs. Hopefully that helps. Let me know if there's anything else that you think is useful that I missed or what have you. I look forward to the next instructional video.